Hey there YouTube, welcome back to the Allegheny Northern N scale. I'm going to show you an update here for, I guess this is the month of July and August. So one of the major things that was completed in that time was this hidden staging yard is complete now. And when I say complete, not only is it full, but it's all flex track. So all of that flex track has been soldered, and then the basic Atlas switch machines have been installed. They are wired, so you can control them remotely. You don't have to reach across the table there to get to them. All the wiring is kind of a mess underneath. It's powered from a regular DC power supply, so that's just hanging right there on the support. Also, I extended LocoNet to the back here so that I can plug in the throttle. The radio control doesn't go through the wall, so I did extend LocoNet back here. And then of course I wired up the other side as well. The switch machines on either side of the yard are not wired together. I could envision a situation where both ends of the lead yard don't need to be opened at the same time, or I wouldn't want them open. So they are controlled separately, but still off of the same power source. And then of course everything is DCC, so that's not an issue. I am going to rework my helix a little bit. It's kind of steep and it's kind of tight, so I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more spacing in it to try to lengthen the run to make the grade not quite as steep. And then of course I'm punched through the wall in two locations, not finalized yet. Obviously there's still a giant ravine there where trains can disappear. And then on the other side, same sort of deal. There's a little bit of protection there. So got a couple of projects sitting on the desk here. One is a Showcase Miniatures high rail dump truck. So that's got to be assembled, put together. Also have, it's an older kit, and I just dropped it on the floor, but got a Roadmasters grader here. This is a GHQ model. So I've had a lot of luck with these in the past. I'm going to use this in the mine scene. What they did a lot of times is the haul roads where the big heavy ore trucks were going up and down, the roads would get torn apart, so they'd use the grader to kind of keep them together so that the trucks could safely pass. And then there's this. This is not part of the layout, but it's a little something else that I'm working on here. So there's going to be a whole little scene for that. Maybe I'll do another video. So that's a work in progress as well. Okay, let's take you around to the layout and show you what's been done there. Okay, the next part comes under the heading of I am not an artist, but I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express once. So I started working on a backdrop here for the layout. Really was just trying a couple of different techniques, and as you can see there, you can sort of see the different techniques that were being used. When you stand back and look at it, it doesn't look like a whole lot. But when you come down right here at track level, you get the look I was looking for. A foggy, dreary, fall, kind of gross day. So I'm happy with the results. It's taken a lot of time, a lot more time than I thought it was going to. So I don't know how I'm going to handle the rest of the layout. Unfortunately, they just didn't offer a good backdrop for this. So I was sort of limited as to what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to look like, so I kind of had to create my own. This is simply some acrylic paint, brushed and sponged, and then the backdrop obviously was already painted this lovely sky stormy blue. I'm going to add some cloud detail, I think, to it, so I'm not quite done with it, but for now I'm going to move on to some other things just because that was not it's not the most fun thing I had to work on. It is from the winter side, so I mean the look and feel is there. It just needs to I just need to finish a few more details and kind of get it finalized. But like I said, once again, it was taking a lot of time, and I wanted to do some other things, so I started moving on. Okay, part of the extension of the LocoNet system, I did add one to the far side of the peninsula. On that side, obviously, is where all the controls are. You've seen that a handful of times. So I brought a plug to this side. The reason being is sometimes I've noticed that my radio throttle, it just stops communicating for some reason, and as soon as you plug it back in, LocoNet sort of reminds it what it's doing. The trains run fine. It's just the throttle for some reason becomes disconnected. So now that I've got an outlet on either side, I don't have that issue. But the biggest change has been that I've started working on the second tier of the layout. So now that we've come through this, where the wall is, staging behind this line here, you can see the coiled bus line is hanging out here. This line here is going to extend above all the way past to the winter scene, to that far wall there, and this is all going to be mine country, so mountains and mines and tipples. This is going to represent CSX up above. Norfolk Southern is going to be down here below, and then there's the interchange track. I mentioned in the previous video I wasn't sure how I was going to do that, but I've decided since then that I'm going to run a small interchange railroad. It's going to service this yard, then up through the helix, through the hidden staging, and it's going to stop up here on this part of the layout. Obviously the lighting's not quite finished yet, still very rough. What I haven't decided yet is if this is going to be a single industry or multiple industries. And what I'm thinking right now is that it's going to be multiple industries. And the reason I'm thinking that is because that gives me a little more justification for the short line. And that way I can have a little town up there, and the short line can service all of the industries. So you can probably get at least 2 down there. There's another 2 available there, and then at least 1 here. Now this part where it comes through, as you can see, once again, bus line, coil up, ready to go. This line here is going to run out, and it's going to go to this portion of the layout, which is going to run above this section here, and it's going to stop right over the intermodal yard. So it's going to go just as far as the intermodal yard here, and it's going to stop. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm thinking about modeling a port scene so that now all of my intermodal traffic has somewhere to go. I haven't quite flushed out the details yet. I was inspired by seeing the harbor in Savannah and how some of that's been handled. I've been doing a little bit of research, so I kind of got the idea that I wanted to do a port scene, and obviously that my railroad is set in more of a western Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia sort of setting. You know, that seems a little out of place. However, modeler's license, and that's sort of what I'm leaning towards. So it'll give me a chance to model some ocean, harbor front, and some boats, and some things that are not on the layout right now. So I'm looking forward to sort of developing that. Also here, you can access this small town area or industry area from either side, and then of course there is a runaround track. This runaround track does pose a problem because it also acts as a reverse loop. So with the reverse loop, I do need to wire up another AR1 from Digitrax so that I can reverse safely from direction to direction. And then the wires for this are all just sort of neatly tucked up underneath here right now. You got the bus wire and then the branch wires, and they're all fed from this really ugly connection here. So this will all get tucked up and hidden, but right now everything's sort of under construction. So that's what we're looking at right now. This is going to be the work for the foreseeable future. Obviously, none of the other scenes yet are quite done, so I've still got work to do here down on my scratch build for the passenger terminal. This whole island is incomplete. Right now it's being used as storage, and of course this scene here is not finished either. So I kind of like the fact that I've got some older buildings that are facing the street front here, so there's going to be street parking, and then I've got some road running for the local crew here switching out this industry. I picked up this modern looking shopping center, and I'm thinking about putting a modern structure right here, and so it'll sort of be a scene where you've got the older buildings giving way to the newer buildings, newer part of town. So I think I may also do like a demo scene in here of one of these older buildings getting torn down, to kind of show that progress. So that's in the works here as well. Okay, another task that I've been working on. It's not necessarily fun or glamorous, but it is definitely saving me some aggravation. And that is, I just shorted out the train, replacing the couplers on locomotives that do not have microtrains couplers. So I started with these SD40s, 40-2s from Cato, because what I was noticing was that a lot of the other brand of couplers were working really well together, but for some reason the Cato couplers, they just don't play nice, as nice with non-Cato couplers. So I've been going through and I've been fixing those as I can. It hasn't been a high priority, but it is definitely making a difference on the first two that I did, which was the Conrail and that Burlington Northern. So they stay together better, even with the Athearn, which I think uses McHenry couplers. Don't quote me on that. But anyway, the coupler types just seem to work a lot better than the Cato, so they're still getting replaced. Also, I've gone through these are a good example right here, and I've replaced some of the wheels just because the wheels were old and cruddy, got some paint on them. They were some earlier failed weathering experiments, so they got new wheel sets. They're running much better. And then some of these, I've gotten 2 sets of Athearn coal hoppers. These BNSF are one, and these Conrails are another one. And the trucks and couplers are just an absolute mess. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it seems to be with the Athearns, but the couplers weren't aligning correctly. The trains were jumping the tracks frequently, and all of that stopped as soon as I replaced the couplers and the trucks with micro trains. So as a general rule now, if I do spend the money on something Athearn, I immediately replace the trucks and couplers without question. It's disappointing, especially because I do like, the cars themselves are excellent. I just have not had a real good luck with them on the layout, and you spend a lot of money for them and you expect them to perform a little bit better, and I haven't had that luck. So everything immediately gets micro trains, and they've been running fine, and I've been very happy since then. So that's been a process as well, going through some of the older rolling stock and just upgrading it where it needs to be, because I've been operating more with the DCC system. These little problems that it jumped the track occasionally, or it came uncoupled occasionally, well, they really became a problem, really became an annoyance. So since converting mainly to micro trains, that problem has gone away. So there's a shameless plug for micro trains for anyone in N scale.